is Sam Connell. A lot of you know me, I'm a librarian at New Canaan Library. We're really excited to be able to present this lovely cooking series by Caryn Antonini. She's been here with us a few times to share some really exciting tips and tricks in the kitchen and helping us celebrate the seasons along the way. Also wanted to let you know that today we're doing easy appetizers, but in February, on February 8th, Caryn will be back on Zoom to share with us some really exciting Valentine's Day treats. It's one of my favorite holidays, so that's going to be a lot of fun. You can register for that class. It's going to be 11 a.m. at newcanaanlibrary.org. Just click on the events calendar and you will see the registration link. So we're going to go ahead and get started, and I just want to give you some background about Caryn. Caryn, through her global experiences, multiple languages, and cooking skills, brings the world to our table with quick and easy recipes, tips, and ideas. Caryn grew up surrounded by friends and guests from overseas, sparking a lifelong interest in languages, culture, and travel. Both in childhood and later, she traveled extensively, living abroad during her global entrepreneurial enterprises and cultivating recipes. Caryn is a regular on-air contributor, host, and producer of a 30-minute cooking show and co-producer host of Town Dish, which is a TV series honoring first responders right here in New Canaan. So we're really lucky to have Caryn back today to show us some easy appetizers. Thank you, Caryn. How are you?
I'm great. I'm keeping warm in the kitchen. I'm glad to be in here today and so glad to have everyone join us today to do these appetizers. So I am going to jump right in because I, as usual, want to get through a lot of things with you. So to start, I'm going to make the caramelized onion dip. This is one of my favorite dips. I used to get it as a child. If anyone grew up here or remembers Heyday Market, they had a fantastic one. So this is very similar. I think it's spot on. So I'm going to jump in. I have my heavy kind of Dutch oven pot. I like to use this because it's turned it on already. It has the ceramic lining and you can really see when the onions start to caramelize. So I've turned that on. I am going to use some olive oil and butter in my pot. I have 4 onions I've already chopped. They definitely make you cry a little bit, but just throw in some glasses. So I have 4 of these onions, yellow onions, and some sour cream, cream cheese, a little bit of fresh lemon juice, Worcestershire sauce, and a bit of salt. So I have heated up my pot and I'm going to go ahead and add my 2 tablespoons of butter. You should all have received from Sam the recipes, I'm sure. So in case I forget something, it's all there. And the 2 tablespoons of the olive oil. So I do this a lot, otherwise I would be measuring this out. So what we're going to do with these onions, so I won't have all the time to do this, but just to get it started and show you, is we are going to bring this to start at a low heat with our onions. That's about 2 tablespoons. So start like that. And then once that melts, I'm going to add all these onions in there. There's my spoon. Just lost it. Let's see. I'll get a wooden spoon. Nope, he was hiding. Okay, so that's almost ready to go. You don't want to burn that butter, but just get it started, let it melt. And then this really reduces, it looks like a lot of onions, but they definitely reduce down. So don't be alarmed. Okay, I can put those onions in. So, oops, there's my holder. So I'll just stick those in and then go ahead and cover your pot. You can give it a little bit of a stir. Actually, you're gonna add in the teaspoon of sea salt and give it a little stir to coat the onions with that mixture. And then just cook it at low for, let's see, according to your stovetop, everyone's is a little bit different, but at a nice low heat, and cover it almost completely. Just leave a little bit of an opening like this. So once that is finished, once you've cooked that for 15 minutes, what it does is it just softens up the onions. They're not going to caramelize yet. Then you're gonna remove the lid completely and then turn it up to like a low medium. But just be careful at this point because you don't wanna overcook the onions or burn them. Just when you get to that point, just notice when it starts to cook, it's a nice healthy simmer, I guess you'd call it. And you can watch, just keep an eye on it, give it a stir occasionally. And like I said, these pots are great. If you do have one, if you don't, it doesn't matter at all. Your onions will absolutely caramelize. And you'll wait about, let's see, I always set the timer for about 35 minutes, and it generally takes till about 45 just to caramelize. But there's very little effort involved in this. It's just really the chopping of the onions. And it will give you about this much, whoops, of the onions, and they look caramelized, they get really sweet, and they're nice and soft for our dip. So I will show you how to put this together. So I'm gonna take, let's see, I guess I'll take this bowl. So I'll just go ahead and, well, I'll mix my cream cheese. So you're gonna take 8 ounces. I was so glad that cream cheese was back on the market. I was a little afraid after I had sent all these recipes to Sam that they all contain cream cheese and there was a shortage, but it's back, whatever that was. It's not there anymore. So let's see. So I'm going to just go ahead and open this up. Make sure that when you are doing this recipe, actually every single recipe here calls for cream cheese. Make sure that it is softened. It will make your life a lot easier. So I'm just going to put all of this right in my bowl and then add my, let's see, I get a little spatula, my sour cream. Okay. And then just blend these together. This is really, really an easy dip. It's great. You can serve it with some chips, which I'll show you, some kettle chips or tortilla chips. It's a great game day appetizer, definitely a crowd pleaser. So, and then just make sure that my cream cheese is nice and softened, and just blend that so it's completely blended before you add the rest of the ingredients. There we go. Let's see, so that's good to go. And then I'm going to add my teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce. Just go ahead and add these right in. And my lemon juice, just a teaspoon of the lemon juice. I always use fresh lemon juice. I tend to use fresh ingredients because it tastes so much better. Just if you're going to go to the effort to do something, it makes a huge difference. So I'm not making a mess here. So that is really almost all there is to it. Then you're going to go ahead and add your onions right in there. And as we go through the rest of the appetizers, I will definitely show you the onions as they're cooking so you can get an idea. They're cooking away nicely there. Okay. And if you need to adjust your heat so you can give it a stir and see how they're doing. I might do that before I finish blending. There, you can do that too, but just make sure you don't really need to touch it at this stage. And so I'm going to go back, blend this dip. And then once you've blended this, you're just going to stick it in the fridge for about 2 hours. This will set it nicely, and also the flavors will really come together, kind of like anything else you make with lots of ingredients like this, whether it's a bolognese or a chili, it always tastes better a couple hours later. So this is our dip. And let's see, make sure I get it all mixed in. Just make sure I have all my ingredients. So I'll cover it tightly, especially because there's a lot of onions. I don't want that flavor in my fridge. So this is your dip, and it is really delicious, as I said. So you're going to cover it, put it in your fridge for 2 hours, and then go ahead and serve. I'm just going to show you, if you want to do like a game day or just something kind of fun, you can also add, let's see, your chips. And I like to use certain things other than serving dishes sometimes, makes it kind of fun. So I have this little cabbage, and then these guys are great. If you've ever seen these little bowls or any kind of bowl that will fit, just carve it out. It's really easy. I've done pumpkins, other kinds of fruits or veggies that I've done to as a container. So once the dip is ready, I'll put it in. And if you're doing game day, like for football, you can do some wheatgrass, and there you go. You've got your dip. So that is the first one. Put this here. I'm just going to clear out my ingredients and make room for the, let's see, I guess I'll do the smoked salmon pinwheels that I sent. I wasn't sure if I sent the recipe for, I want to also do the spinach artichoke dip in the Phyllo Cups, because that's a really fun one to do as well. So let's see, save that one for later. Okay, so clear this out. Bring my other ingredients. Kind of see, I think you can see that. I have my bresaola and some smoked salmon. I'm going to show you the smoked salmon. If you've never had bresaola, it's a really nice air-dried beef. It's very light. It's really delicious. And what I love about this recipe is that it just tastes very clean with the cream cheese, again, that's softened, and the fresh basil. You have to use fresh basil here because you cannot use dried. It would not taste good at all. It's just it really heightens the flavor of the basil, heightens the flavor of the bresaola and the smoked salmon. So what I've done is taken my kitchen shears, and if you've joined any of my other classes, you know that I love a good pair of kitchen shears. I use it only for food things in the kitchen. And I've taken some of my basil. So I've taken a bunch of leaves. We need about 2 tablespoons of basil. You don't want to overpower, but you want to bring out that flavor. And I just take my kitchen shears and snip. I find it's the easiest. It's a great tip for any herbs. It's really, really easy. So I just have gone ahead. I've done most of it. You don't want big pieces of basil, of course, when you're eating these little appetizers. So just go ahead and make sure it's all snipped. And these are great. Just something different, really tasty little appetizers. If you want to get bresaola, you can go down to, I think they carry it at Walter Stewart's. There's also A&S Market in Norwalk. I think there's some other ones around, but you can get it. Don't get it too thinly sliced because it's hard to roll it, but just tell them that you're going to be adding a little layer or something, and they'll be sure to help you out, I'm sure. So I'm going to start by taking a little piece of my salmon, and you want to cut about a 3-inch or 4-inch, let's see, little piece. You can see like this. Anything left over, it's up for grabs. So let's start with this. Okay, cut them into little pieces. Oops, I didn't add my basil. I'm going to add the basil, sorry, right into my softened cream cheese. There we go. This is going to be my spreader. Okay, and then just go ahead and blend that. So just make sure it's all mixed together. If you are in a pinch, you can't find fresh basil, it's not exactly the season, but of course we can get it anywhere these days. You can grow it indoors. I love fresh basil, that smells so good, but you can use a little bit of pesto. I just wouldn't overdo it because it really drowns out the flavor. All you taste is pesto. Really the ideal thing is to use this basil. I'm just getting all the little pieces, make sure it's completely blended like this. And then that looks good. Then I'm going to take my little spreader, and that looks a little big. So I'm going to take this piece of salmon. If you can see this right here, it's a little hard on the Zoom, but I think you can see that. It's about 3 or 4 inches long. And then just spread a thin layer of this right on the salmon. And I like to keep the salmon cold because it's easier to work with. if that's just a little tip. It doesn't matter, but you'll see when you do these. It's not hard, but it just kind of makes it easier. So then you just roll. It's so easy. Just roll it, starting at one side as tight as you can. Oops. And you'll have these amazing little pinwheels, which are delicious. And the same thing with the bresaola. You just add a little bit, roll it up. I love that they call the bresaola with the cream cheese Italian spring roll. So funny. But bresaola is great. It's just that dried beef, air dried beef. It's very light, something different. Not a lot of people know about it. This might be a little bit big. This guy, let's see. Maybe I'll slice him in half. So you can make quite a few little appetizers. I did this actually over the holidays and they went so quickly. So there, it's really easy. And your kids can help you too. It's super easy if you have kids. It's kind of just nice. There's no baking involved. So you'll have these great little appetizers. So, and that is it. So I am going to put this away so I can jump in to the other. But before that, I'm going to check is that my onion one? Here, my onions, which now it's been about 15 minutes.
Caryn,
So
we have a question. Can you take a quick question?
Oh, sure.
Anne wants to know what type of smoked salmon you prefer using.
You can use, gosh, really anything. I mean, the Norwegian, it really doesn't matter. I mean, I think I prefer the Norwegian a little. This one isn't quite as light, but it's easier to work with too. So you don't, oops. Sorry about that. I'm going to turn that off. I apologize. But really any kind of smoked salmon, it doesn't matter, kind of depending on your own tastes, but the Norwegian is really good. It's a little lighter, but they all taste really, really good. I think it really depends on taste. But so hopefully that answered your question. Okay, so I'm going to put this over here. And what I've done now with the onions is I'm going to turn this up, give it a stir because they are softened. You can see I'm just going to coat again with the mixture, the butter oil mixture in the pot. They're nice and soft. They turned a little bit yellow, you can kind of see. And I'm just going to leave it, turn the heat to that low medium, and I'm right here. So I'm going to monitor until I get it to a perfect place where it's that kind of like healthy simmer. So, and then what's great is I can see the timer from here, but it'll be about 35 to 45 minutes, like I said. And then you'll start to see it's really in the last 10 minutes. So closer to 45, you're going to see the caramelized. And just at that point, just keep stirring your onions, stirring them, and you'll get all the caramelized bits on the bottom, which is great. So now just remove the lid, let it be. There's my little holder, spoon rest, put this away. And okay, I'm gonna put these guys over here to make room for my next dish. Okay, let's see. So this, if I didn't send this recipe, I'm going to send it to Sam. Sorry, Sam. Make extra work. I couldn't remember if I'd sent this, but this one is really great too. So you can definitely make this. This is the baked spinach artichoke dip in the Phyllo Cups, which makes it just a little bit different. I love that it's bite-sized and that you can just pop it in your mouth. And the Phyllo Cups are really light. I'm going to show you in a minute. So we have all our ingredients here. Take this away. Too many things. And let's see. So I have my little muffin tin. Let me actually move these guys. Too many things. Okay. So I have my spinach, my mozzarella cheese, freshly grated, fresh Parmesan cheese, a little bit of extra mozzarella for the top, I'll explain, some softened cream cheese, sour cream, and a clove of garlic that I'm going to mince, and some salt. So, and then, oh, my Phyllo Cups are over here. So I'm going to show you, these are so light. If you haven't worked with these, they're just so great. I made some to show you, but these are really light. You can get these anywhere. I think I got these at Walter Stewart's. I think they might have them at Acme, but for sure Walter Stewart's. And what I like about this brand, I'm sure you've seen these, Athens, is that they're really light. I did get some at Whole Foods one time. They were a little heavier, thicker, but they were still good. But this is just really, really light and really easy to work with. So when you're making these, take this, if they're frozen, they always come frozen, take it out of the freezer about 10 to 15 minutes before you start doing your dip or while you're doing your dip, so they can come to room temperature. And then what you're going to do is just line them in a little mini muffin tin like this. And I'll open the other pack in a minute and show you. Put that away. And then we're just going to blend all these ingredients together. But to get started, you're going to take, you can actually do fresh spinach if you want. It's really up to you. It's just a time saver, which, because there are lots of little, if you're going to make a couple appetizers, you probably want to have a time saver. The great spinach that I get, actually, I wonder if I have one in there to show you. There's lots of different brands, but I found one at Whole Foods. It's 365 brand. It's great because it's already really nicely chopped. So you will want to take that, if you use the frozen kind, take it out of the freezer, let it come to room temperature completely. And then I'm using about 6 ounces today of this. What you're going to do is you're going to have to wring all the water out of that spinach. So I would take either a cheesecloth, or just, you don't need all these fancy things in your kitchen if you don't have them, but like 3 or 4 plies of paper towels, and then just put the spinach in there and squeeze it out over the sink. And then you'll be left with your dried spinach, because the last thing you want is really kind of a runny dip. It wouldn't be good, especially with the Phyllo Cups. They would just fall apart. So that one is all drained. Oh, and I also, of course, need my artichoke dips, or artichoke hearts. So when you buy the artichoke hearts, the other thing is be really careful not to get the marinated kind, because that will add a different flavor to your dip. So just get the plain and the whole artichoke hearts. And I'm going to show you, I will chop those up just to show you. You just want them kind of coarsely chopped, so it's not, you know, it's bite-sized. These things are bite-sized, so that's what you're going to want to have. And if there's any, again, you want to drain these guys too. I think I drained them, but if there's any liquid left over, just blot it with a paper towel. So again, it's really dried out. Where's my knife? Here, get a sip of water. Talk too much. Okay, so these guys, a little bit slippery to cut, but not hard at all. They just cut and just coarsely chopped like this. My onions are coming along really nicely. Let's see. So this is another great dish, because if you're just in the kitchen, you have some time, it's not, there's no process, I mean, real like effort to that onion dip that we're doing. But apart from just slicing the onions or dicing them, but then you just let it simmer in there. All right, so there we go. You just don't want to get big bites there. So that's about right for my artichokes. Paper towels over here, a little messy. Okay, so now I'll use my bowl. So I've taken my, I'm going to adjust that heat. There we go. Taken my cream cheese, my clove of garlic too, just making sure, 8 ounces of the cream cheese. So I'm going to just put that right in here. And I preheated my oven to 350 degrees. So that is ready to go. And pop that right in. My tools. Always easier to prep. I always suggest if you can and have the time to prep your kitchen, this makes life a lot easier. So got that. Okay. And my sour cream, another little spatula. And again, just blend that together. This is another such a great and tasty appetizer. So, okay, I can blend that. Oops, I think I need a little spoon, something harder. Let's see, get this big spoon for this. Okay, so make sure that's all blended so the other ingredients will be well incorporated right in there. And like I said, you can use a dish. I'll show you the baking dish. If anyone has made this before, you can use a baking dish, and it bakes for about 20 minutes or until it's bubbly on the top. So I'll show you that in a minute once we get going here. Okay, so that's pretty much blended here. No blenders today, so we don't have to yell above the noise. Okay, and then, so we're gonna go ahead and add this mozzarella cheese. It's about 2/3 cup. 2/3 cup of your freshly grated Parmesan. Don't get the pre-grated, unless it's really, really fresh. It doesn't take long and it tastes so much better. So I've kept a little extra of the mozzarella to use on top. So whether you're cooking it in the Phyllo Cups or the baking dish, it bubbles and looks really pretty on top. There a question?
Caryn,
yes.
do you have a question? Okay, thank you. Josephine
Sure.
wants to know how much sour cream.
Oh, I believe I have a cheat sheet over there because there's so many. 1/3 cup of sour cream. I'm going to send this to you so you have the actual recipe. It's 8 ounces of cream cheese, 1/3 cup of sour cream.
Thank you. And we have another question from Mary. She wants to know if those salmon appetizer pinwheels can be frozen.
I have never done that. I don't know if I would. I'm not sure. I've never done that. That's an interesting one. I'll have to find out, but I'm not sure how that would taste after to thaw out actually, but I will find that out. So now I'm going to add my salt, and I'm going to mince my garlic. Just add everything right in. This is the thing I love about once it's all prepped and ready, there's not a lot of steps to this. You just put your garlic right in there. And then add, oops, that's my extra. Then I'm gonna add my spinach. It looks all clumpy in the bowl, but it will be incorporated. And I think I'll do one at a time just to get that all mixed in nicely. And then my artichokes last. So here, let's get these guys in here. There we go. Okay. So there. Okay, so here we go. It's just really coming together so nicely. And I'm just gonna make sure it's all really, really well blended. And then I'm gonna add the rest of my little Phyllo Cups in there and show you that dish, the baking dish as well, just so you know, because maybe you have something that's not quite as fancy, or you have people, you wanna use your chips and have that dip like that. The nice thing about this is if you are having like little appetizers and you want it like a little bit socially distanced, it's kind of nice to have these. It was interesting in the last year or so trying to find appetizers or things that we weren't all dipping in the same bowl unless it was family. So here we go. So that is nicely mixed now. So I'm going to show you, before I add that into the Phyllo Cups, I'm going to show you this baking dish. So So this is the other baking dish that you can use, anything like this, anything you have, and you just place the dip right in here and bake it for about 20 minutes. So I have a little bit of mozzarella cheese. You can certainly use Parmesan as well on top, but I would just add a little bit of this on top if you're doing it in your little cups. You can add more, but nothing wrong with a little extra Parmesan, but just add it right on top and it will help you to see when it's bubbling, it's ready to go, your dip is ready. So there we go. So now, I'm not gonna do that today though. I'm gonna show you the rest of the little phyllo. So these are kind of delicate, so you just have to be a little bit careful with this. And I think I'm doing a puff pastry. You could potentially do puff pastry too. I believe that's on the menu for Valentine's Day. So if you join that class, I'm going to show you some puff pastry as well, which is really excellent. Oh gosh, this guy's just stuck in this box. Okay.
Caryn, do you have time for a question while you open that?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The chat and the questions are lighting up today. Everyone's super excited. Everything looks so delicious. We have a question about whether you can use low-fat sour cream and if you can bake the Phyllo Cups on a baking sheet instead of a muffin tip.
Yes, you can definitely bake them. Yeah, absolutely, on a baking sheet. They really hold their shape, so there's no problem with that. And yes, you can also use light sour cream if you want. I have omitted, there's several recipes actually, even for the caramelized onion dip, I don't add mayonnaise. I just feel like you do not need it. I try to make these, you know, a little streamlined, but yes, you can absolutely use a light, even the light cream cheese. It will change the flavor a little bit. I mean, not as kind of hearty, but absolutely. Just play around with it, see what you like. So I'm going to add these right in here. And then I'm going to use just a teaspoon to fill up these little cups. So you have a couple extras, and these are great little, I'll show you, I can hear my onions. They're going, by the time the class is over, they will be caramelized, maybe a little bit longer. So you just want a like slightly rounded over the top of the cup like this. I hope you can see that. Just a little bit rounded on top. And then, so just repeat and do all your little cups like this. So, or you can take them out if it's easier, but it should be little pieces. And let's see. And you can make these ahead of time and reheat them if you want. So it is possible, but you can also just make the dip. You can also make just the dip and put it in the fridge and then bake it when you're ready. So, but if they've been sitting out, you can certainly reheat. I have one child who only eats hot foods, which is a little difficult sometimes, but so I know a lot about reheating things. Okay. So just like this. And these are great. These are all really nice little bite-sized appetizers, a little different, maybe a take on a traditional, but slightly different, or maybe some things you haven't seen. Let's see. There we go. And a couple more. Okay. So and after this, I'm going to give my onions another little stir. Let's see how they are. Okay. So we've got, so I'm going to pop those in for about 18 to 20 minutes. But before I do that, I can add a little extra cheese if you want. It just looks really pretty on top. You can add these guys. You can even just use your kitchen shears if you want, if they're long. These look like long shreds of Parmesan. These are extra long, but anyway, you can just form them with your, just push them down a little with your fingers. Save a step. and they will bubble and look so delicious. These are just great. Okay, so just like this. And a little extra doesn't hurt if you need it. So just do that with all your little cups. And check your oven. Everyone's oven is different, so it's about 18 to 20. I always like to err on the side of the 18 and then see how it's going, or peek in the oven. So you can just put those right in the oven, and I'm going to show you what they look like. Let me just give my onions a quick stir. They're not even, you can see they're really softened, but they're not even caramelized yet. It's probably been about 36, maybe a little bit less, about 30 minutes. So I have another 15 to go, and it's always like right at the end, it's like making a 7-minute frosting or something, a meringue, and suddenly it just takes off. So you'll see it's getting there. So a little patience and it will work. And if it's not cooking, just turn it up a tiny bit, but make sure to just keep your eye on that so it doesn't burn. So, oh, here they are. Okay, so these are the finished product of these little Phyllo cups, and they are so good. They're just like slightly browned, a little crispy, and the soft filling in the middle. They are so delicious, and all of these are really, really easy to make. So I hope you get to try some of these. And I don't know if anyone has any questions. I'm happy to answer. If you ever have any questions, you can certainly email me. My website's CarynAntonini.com. You can go ahead and send an email. I'm happy to help.
So the chat's lighting up, Caryn.
Okay,
Bridget's excited
good.
to bring these back to college. Elizabeth says looks
good.
fabulous. And then we have a few questions. Are the
Sure.
Philo cups frozen or thawed? I didn't catch that.
They are. So what you want to do, I've only ever seen them frozen. So they're in the frozen section at your market, like this, next to all the pastry dough and doughs. There's Philo dough as well. So you're just going to want to take them out at least 10 to 15 minutes before you start working with them, so that they come to room temperature. So these have been out. Just take them out, and then you'll be able to start working with them.
Thank you. There's another question with the caramelized onion dip, and also with this dip. Can you use a hand blender, or should you definitely do it by hand? And can you use a pastry bag to fill the cups?
Oh, sure. Yeah, you can. I'll answer the first question. You can definitely use a blender. It's I actually got my new blender, so I don't know why I didn't use it, but you can definitely do that just to make sure it's all incorporated. It's definitely a little bit easier. And yes, you can use a pastry bag if you want. So if you want it to look really pretty, then that's a great idea to use the pastry bag. Yes.
Thank you. We've got another question. How many do you think this would serve with the ones in the Philo cups?
I believe, actually, I think it's on the, this would serve about 24, I believe, because there's 12. So it probably would do about 24 or a little bit extra. There's extra little cups. So it would do, what is that? 5 times 15. So probably about 30 or so, because we have a little bit of extra, might even do like 36. It's quite a bit of dip. So you'd have enough for a lot of people.
That's great. Thank you. That is it
Sure.
for questions at the moment. Wait a minute.
Okay.
Here we go. Sue wants to know if you can use light cream cheese and light sour cream. I think we covered this, but maybe not the cream cheese. Yes,
you can use the light cream cheese as well. That's not a problem. You can definitely use that too. For the caramelized onion, you can definitely do that. And this dip as well.
Okay, great. And also there was fired up on the chat, a lot of people who shared some smoked salmon. Apparently there's a great smoked salmon, the Mount Kisco Smokehouse, which everyone is recommending we swing by to check out.
Oh,
apparently,
nice.
They also carry it at Pound Ridge Market, and I might actually head over there to check that out because I looked it up and it's really cool.
That sounds so good. Thank you. I always love hearing like the spice market last time and yeah, no, that's great. Especially shopping local. I would definitely, yeah, be up for that. So I'm gonna check it out too. Thanks.
So Anne is asking me to repeat that. I might have spoken too quickly. That is the Mount Kisco Smokehouse. A lot of the people tuning in this morning are sharing that they love it, that the smoked fish there, the salmon is excellent. And we have some attendees sharing that you can get that at Pound Ridge Market and also at New Wave in Stamford.
Oh, wow. Oh, great.
Thanks, everybody.
That
Yeah,
sounds so good.
lively chat this morning. Everyone's had their coffee and maybe not breakfast yet because everyone's
Yeah.
hungry and chatty. Does anyone have any other questions for Caryn? Oh, here we've got another question. Let me pull that up. Josephine would like your address again. I don't know if you shared your website or your email.
Oh, you can do, it's my first and last name. You can definitely, it's Caryn Antonini, the way I spell it, Caryn, Caryn, Antonini at mac.com. But if you go into my website, there's a place for emails or questions. So you could, in case you forget, it's there. So yeah,
Thank
any
you.
questions whenever you're cooking, I'm always happy to help, and any troubleshooting, let me know.
I think that's it for the questions. Any last parting thoughts, Caryn, you want to share with us?
I don't think so. I think I covered everything, but
Great.
I will, yeah, I actually will be making this again on, well, the caramelized onion dip. I'll be making it on Thursday in case you missed it, but and you'll have the finished product in the little container itself. If you want to see it with the wheatgrass, I'm going to try to get that. So I think the wheatgrass, I think you can get it at Walter Stewart's if you call ahead. It's just for something fun for maybe Super Bowl. They said they could get that for you, and they do carry it at Whole Foods all the time in the produce section, of course. So like the normal, it looks like grass. It's kind of fun as a serving piece. So I'll probably have that on my Instagram as well if you want to check it out. But other than that, I think I've covered everything.
Thank you. That's such a cool idea.
Sure.
I love that. That's really neat.
It'd
And
be
actually,
fun.
how you serve the dip was beautiful too, carved out. So thank you. And I just want to remind
Thank you.
everybody that you can go to newcanaanlibrary.org and sign up. If you go to the events calendar, you can sign up. Caryn will be back on February 8th to share Valentine's treats with us. I will be sending out a follow-up email to all of the registrants, and we will include all of the recipes, including the new ones that we were sharing today. And I'll also attach some of the links to some of the great recommendations for some resources here today. Thank you. And thanks everybody who was in the chat. It was a really fun morning. Thanks, Caryn.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here. Thanks, Pam.
Everybody have a great day. Bye.
All right. Bye.